Max has offered everything she's been working for, but is it what she really wants? And Flint and Silver finally reach an impasse that leads them straight to Skeleton Island. It's the STARZ original series, Black Sails, Season 4, Episode 8, 36. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Black Sails. So, of course, there are spoilers on the horizon. This is your warning. Alright, so we are getting close to the end of the season, the end of the series. We are barreling towards those moments, and it's getting so exciting! And so, yes, I am going to get to Flint and Silver and the island and all of that fun stuff. But I'm going to start this off looking at Max and Ann. Really I thought in this episode they were really sort of wrapping up in a way their storyline. Not that I don't think we're going to see them anymore. I still think, I'm still hoping that Jack gets back with Ann and such. But in some ways this really wraps up Max's storyline. And Ann's got a significant connection to that. Now, Max, of course, has had quite an arc throughout this entire series. She started out as the prostitute, a favored prostitute, into some back and forth, some double dealing, rose up to madam, gained control, became really one of the primary shaping forces on the island. And it was great that we kind of get that acknowledgement, especially from Mrs. Guthrie in this episode. That whole sequence where Guthrie finally lets Max know that the interview is over, that you have now proven your worth and we're going to go ahead with your plan. Just that recognition from Guthrie. I mean, first we have the connection with the daughter, how well did you know Eleanor? And we get kind of that connection in the sense of, yes, Eleanor almost did come and see Grandma Guthrie right there. We're sort of stopped right there at the end. But Max's arrival here kind of fulfills that same energy, that same quest that Mrs. Guthrie was looking for. And I like the fact that she was able to acknowledge to Max the extent of her journey, how far that she could, has gone, everything that she has gone through. Without knowing the specifics, you can see that Mrs. Guthrie is a woman that can really acknowledge that. And the fact that she does, I thought was a big, just a big movement, big moment of realization and acknowledgement for what Max has gone through. But of course, she gets pretty much offered what she wants. We have finished the interview. You could be in charge. I want you to actually run things on the island. Only thing is, you need to get married. It's just a legitimacy thing. It's just, got to be a man up there. That's the way that men in this time and age think. But also acknowledging that this is not something that maybe is foreign to Max. That this is something that Max can live with. And arrangements can be made so she doesn't have to really be tied down. In some way, she gets offered, like I said, everything that she wants and a great opportunity and a great package in order to shape and deal with that. But for Max, this is that realization of taking this is going to nix any chance that she has of healing things with her and Ann. And from Ann's standpoint in this episode, we saw a lot of that. We saw, Adele speaking with Ann, saying, okay, you want to go. You have a woman that wants to do anything for you. In fact, I wanted to kill you because you killed my friend Charlotte, but I didn't because Max is, Max has backed you up, that Max is behind you, and Adele has, loyalty to Max. So Charlotte, by the way, was killed by Ann. She and Logan were killed at the same time. Charlotte was one of the prostitutes that worked in the brothel, was the one that Jack went to have his flag designed. So if we remember her. So there is that loyalty which has kept Adele from doing that. But I mean, we even had that early scene. I mean, all of those scenes really are a movement for Ann in that way. We had the first scene that she has with Max, where Max is kind of reaching out to her and then pushes her away. And then we have Adele coming in, seeing that Anne is getting ready to leave Philly. She's looking for a ship to get out and saying, why the heck would you do this? You have somebody that totally loves you. What's wrong with you? And then, of course, we have that, I got to say, that moment, that last scene between Max and Anne was so beautifully done. Just Max opening up. Really that acknowledgement of how much Anne means to her and how her realization of having everything in her grasp, that possibility of achieving everything that she wanted and realizing that she would have to sacrifice love in order to do that. Even the potential for love, the possibility for that true heart connection. And that shows her what's really important. And these are dueling themes that Silver deals with a lot also. Both Max and Silver in this episode really choosing love over ambition. But it was just such a beautiful scene of Max really opening her up, dropping down, apologizing for focusing on all of the wrong things. And not so that she could win Anne, but so she could have the possibility of repairing things with her. And that final little shot of behind the two of them with the snow coming down, it was all quiet. It was gray and white and little flurries coming down and the hands just reaching out and kind of grasping. Oh, I mean, it was a beautiful moment. That's what I'm saying. If this is the end of what we see with Max, this is a great way to end it. I don't think it is. I think there is still a little bit more to be told. But this really, I think, appropriately wrapped up Max's storyline. It completed her arc. Now, what is she going to do now if she's turned down Mrs. Guthrie? The future might be a little shaky, but the two of them together, I think it looks brighter in their eyes, regardless of what else happens. And speaking of choosing love over ambition, of course, we have Silver and Flint. And this is the end of their partnership. We get to see that final arc. And nicely so. There were some great moments between the two of them. Even that first shot where we have Silver talking to Flint about what happens next. Okay, we go and we get Madi and we do this, and then you go to the war. Fine, we do the whole war thing. What happens after that? Because he remembers what happened in Nassau when everything went down, when government was gone, when the money ran out, when you just have a bunch of pirates. It was horror. It was chaos. So I think Silver's got a legitimate question asking Flint, what the hell comes after all of this? Now, Flint doesn't really have a response. In some ways, his response is really simply hope. The idea that we can't, yes, there is a scary moment between where we are now and where we could be. But I can't see that that's all that it's going to be, that horror is all that men would be left to without the structure of England. Though in any way, any structure, that there is a possibility that something else could come out of it. So it was a nice moment. I mean, that was nice. That was calm. When they're on the deck and things fall apart and they can see Billy being brought up on deck and they can see then Madi being brought up and the other pirates and the slaves and the shots ringing out. That was the switch right there, because Silver immediately belayed Flint's order, commanded his men, go get the thing, and looks at Flint and said, do not try that again. Go get the treasure, you be quiet. And the whole crew's listening to Silver. Flint at this point is done. Silver is the one that's in charge. And that was the big switch that was right there. And it was beautifully done. It was amazingly powerful. All of the quiet in Flint's face right there. He didn't have to say anything back. His face read his entire response. So when they get to that next sequence where we have the kind of fight between the two of them, again, you're almost thinking that, Flint's going to be with him. Because Silver does bring up a point. I have followed you even when I didn't know what was going to happen, even when I didn't believe in the goals that you were going after, the ways that you were doing it. I agreed with you because you said, trust me, and I did. So now you have to trust me. And Flint acknowledged that. I mean, and it was a powerful moment right there. I mean, in some ways, yeah, Flint didn't really have so much of a choice. But from his persona, his portrayal, you know, you believe that. You could see that point where Silver was like, you have to trust me. I trusted you throughout all of this. I supported all of those decisions. I support the war. You have to support me on this. And I think it was bolstered by that even the previous conversation when he tells Silver, in effect, that he wants Madi and Silver to lead the war and not Flint. To me, that's sort of where it is when he said, no, not me, that you and her, the two of you, can lead this. She is strong, she is capable, she has vision. And he's smart, he's tactical, and he has the men behind him. He's inspirational. So the two of them together could carry that war forward. And it really seemed in some ways Flint was handing that off. So when we did have the deck scene and Silver did sort of take control, it didn't seem entirely out of the way. And then we have the whole scene where Silver asks him, are you behind me? Do you support me? You have to. And Flint acknowledged it. So there seemed to be hope heading in to Skeleton Island. But of course that all falls apart really quickly. Now Skeleton Island, I have to say, again, beauty. If we were just waiting for the whole scene, the whole series leading up to this point to sailing into that bay with the fog and the open kind of river leading up into the interior and the wrecked Spanish ship. I mean, it was beautiful and it was creepy and it was disturbing and it was really modified by overlaying Flint's story over on top of that. It really added the character. In some ways, it reminded me a lot of Jaws when Quint is telling the story of the Indianapolis on the boat at night. The story is more frightening than the actual shark. And in this sense, the story just builds everything that we are seeing and adds that tangible terror to it. Now, I think what really worked on top of that with their telling the tale is the fact that that really was done the night before. When we have that scene between Hands and Silver, and of course, you know, Hands is pushing for the fight between Flint and Silver. He sees it, Silver doesn't. But at that moment, I mean, it's just the fact that Silver is telling Israel to back down, don't bring this up again, we're not going to have this discussion, me and Flint, we're tight, we got this. At that exact same time, Flint's over on the other table telling the tale and prepping for the betrayal, for the mutiny against Silver. I mean, there was such a perfect dichotomy there of Silver trying to believe in Flint's lies and Flint really showing unfortunately, his true character here, how obsessed that he is with the war, with the fight against England, and he is willing to sacrifice everything and everyone for it. It is what Billy has been warning Silver about since the very beginning, which of course makes that final sequence when Silver does come up on the deck and tells him what's going on. And you can see that look on Billy's face, where he's just like, you know, part of it's like, man, isn't this what I've been telling you? And if you had done something about it sooner, none of us would be in this mess. So, I mean, there was a lot told in that moment. But it came down, of course, to Israel Hands allowing Flint to take the treasure. And I thought he brought it up at a perfect point where he said, look, I could kill you right now, but Silver would blame me for it. Or you would kill me and then you would betray Silver and then I couldn't protect him and he would still be mad at you. It's a lose-lose for Israel Hands. So he's got to let Flint go. Flint didn't seem to really question any of that either. He might have been thinking about that afterwards. But that's the moment that allows Israel to show Silver Flint's true colors, and thus we begin this big final push. Because Silver needs the cash. He needs it to save Madi. That's all he wants. He doesn't care anymore about the war. He certainly doesn't care more about Flint. He just cares about getting Madi back. So he sends Israel Hands and his best 6 guys. You probably should have sent more. After Flint, which is really going to be the tough part. See, because now they've got a time crunch. Because Flint just needs to bury the treasure and get it out of the way before anybody can find it. Then there's only 2 people to know the treasure. Flint and his buddy, or the red shirt, who is going to die, who Flint will kill, so he can't say where the treasure is. So there is a time crunch that's going on, but we do have the big final push. We have the conflicts. The lines have been drawn. The conflicts are set. Silver is going after Flint, and Woods, all he has to do is just wait and watch. All right, a few smaller bits. One, Jack's funny. Jack was the kind of little light moments throughout this episode. As the look on his face when he talks about the guy that knows the way, the only guy left from Avery's crew who had sailed with him, that's Henry Avery, old pirate, actual historical character. When he seems to like pass out off screen, you just see the look on Jack's face of, it was beautiful, it was perfect. Though I do have to ask, how exactly did Jack get to Nassau without being caught or anything? I mean, where did the ship land? On the far side of the island, and then he rode in secretly. All of the other pirates seem to have gotten captured, but I guess Woods is gone at that point. Anyway, I was just curious, like, wow, Jack showed up in the middle of a bar without anybody noticing. He's kind of a famous character there. Mrs. Hudson and Mrs. Hudson and Mrs. Mapleton seem to have some little plan going on. Now, luckily, that information does end up helping out Jack, but kind of curious what the plan the 2 of them are working on. All right, and lastly, I just got a question about Skeleton Island. Okay, so this is Skeleton Island from Treasure Island. This is Treasure Island right here. But from what I remember from the book, and it's been a while since I read it, nobody knew where this island was. That's why they needed the map. That's why the whole pursuit of Billy Bones in the very beginning of Treasure Island from Silver is in order to get the map so they can get to Flint's Island. But people seem to know where this island is. I mean, okay, we had the old man. He was the last guy that was alive. And yes, so we had to get Gates's stash of Avery's journals in order for Woods to find out where this is. Okay. But Flint and Silver followed them. So he's got to have some idea. I mean, as a ship, you would keep charts and tracks of where you're going. Even if you're following someone, you take, readings and stuff. So, I don't know. I always thought that this was a much more mysterious island. But they were even talking about this used to be a place where people would do deals that nobody wanted to know about. Okay, you've got this secret island, but now that you've gone there, there should be, remember, I mean, even honestly, if something happens and Silver loses all of his charts, the ships crash, whatever, I would still think that he'd sort of keep track of roughly where it is, and it would be a long search to possibly find this thing, that he has some clues on where to go. So that's, I don't know. I mean, Woods seems to have to die here. Jack is heading there. So there's a lot of people that seem to know where this island is, and it's not just, I mean, maybe it's just getting the map just to find out where, in fact, the treasure was buried, but I always thought getting to the island was part of the challenge also. So that kind of threw me off just sort of a little bit. Though I gotta say, I did love that moment where you have Mr. Gunn looking off at the island and kind of getting an idea of where things were going. Us knowing that this is where he's going to end up being marooned for a very, very, very long time. But the whole crew's supposed to be killed. Anyway, I like that we're here, and I like the setup, and it's totally beautiful. But linking this accurately to the beginning of Treasure Island seems to be getting tougher and tougher to come into line. All right, so I think that pretty much covers everything this week, all the big stuff at least. So yeah, 2 episodes left. We're almost done. But they're on the island, so that should mean, I am hoping they blow things out, that this is a huge ending. We've got to pursue Flint. We got to try and get the treasure back, but of course we know for Treasure Island they're probably not going to get it. So how is Silver going to deal with Woods? How is he going to get Anne back? And what's up with Jack? He's not going to die on the island there. He's got to get back to Anne. So a lot of questions, a lot of movement to happen, a lot of things to settle up. And of course, Flint, he doesn't die on the island either. Does he get back to Thomas? Kind of hope he does, even though he's being a bit of a dick right now. So anyway, a lot of stuff waiting to come up. I can't wait to see it, but also I'm going to be so sad when it's over. Well. Anyway, if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments, throw them down in the section below. There is amazing stuff, amazing discussions happening in the comment section. You guys should really check it out. Throw out your 2 cents. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Darren Jakes. And that's it, I guess. Hey, are you a subscriber? Are you catching all of these? You don't want to miss anything, do you? You won't do it if you are a subscriber. And how do you become one? It's simple. You hit my face right there. Hit me in the face. And you will be a subscriber. And I'm going to throw up our link to Legion, last week's review. So good. You don't want to miss that out. Anyway, so I am D, and I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.